Hi, and welcome back to Life Changing Solutions Live. I'm Angie Torres, and I have here Dr. Laura.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining us again for another segment. Earlier, we were speaking about, Dr. Laura gave some tips and some, maybe steps on how to address the situation if you are having some sexual identity issues and you're discovering something about yourself. Mm-hmm. Just kind of the little baby steps of where to go with this. Something that I do want to emphasize, and she did mention, is it's totally okay to seek help and support. Mm-hmm. And we have, but it's also important to find those that are
going to be affirming.
Yes. And be able to, so you as a client, if you will, or somebody who's experiencing this, also do your homework and make sure that you're a good match. Mm-hmm. And there's a good fit. Because unfortunately sometimes, there's just because you're a therapist or I'm a therapist, it doesn't mean that I specialize in that. So, and Dr. Laura's, that's something that you specialize in.
It is. And just as a quick aside, unfortunately, very, very few master's programs in therapy or the therapy arts, marriage and family counseling, those kinds of things, very little time is given to sexuality related issues, strangely enough. Some master's programs even have 0 courses on sexuality. So it is important to screen your potential therapist and find a good match.
And you know what, that is a good point, because when my program didn't have
Isn't that amazing?
It was like there's a section in there and it's just like a blurb.
Yeah.
So just for you as an audience, also you do your due diligence and, do your homework, and it's totally okay to ask for different certifications or what have you in any area of therapy, not just in sexual therapy.
Yeah.
But sexuality is also a very broad subject. Mm-hmm. And earlier we were talking about sexual identity, but there's also certain sexual behaviors or activities that are considered taboo that also add to or create that shame feeling and limits you. And you have created a workshop around this?
I have, actually. The workshop is called KINK 101 and Other Fun Sex Stuff. And I did that in response largely to the overwhelming conversation that I've had with friends, colleagues, all kinds of people in my life who have said that, they don't know what something is, but they're curious, but they're afraid, and they don't know how to talk to their partner about it. And maybe they want to do something like a little light spanking or some bondage or anything, rope play, things like that. But they don't know how to get started. They don't know how to broach the subject. They don't know how to enter that world. And I think one of the things that happens is if you don't have the skills and the tools and the foundation within your relationship to have those conversations, if opportunities arise outside of your relationship to explore those behaviors, that's when betrayals and, those things can happen. And so I think it's important to find those tools and skills within yourself to have those conversations and explore in a safe place.
Yeah, and I also think that's super important. And again, we talked about it. It really starts with yourself and you being accepting of yourself and then knowing how to communicate that. But from a recipient standpoint, I also invite you to be open and try to discover what's behind that and just be accepting of it. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was genuinely curious. And I was just like, okay, we need to talk about this. Because I'm like, all right, let me take notes. And it was, and what I found was so fascinating, really. And he loved the fact that I was just like a little girl, like, let me tell me more.
Right.
And one of the things is that he liked to wear women's underwear.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, wait, so does that make you, okay, let's put a label on that. So first of all, get away from that.
Get away from that.
But I did it. I'm like, so does that make you a transgender? Does that make you this? Like, why? Right. Why do you want to do it? And his answer, bottom line, was very simple. He's like, it makes me feel sexy.
Uh-huh.
He's like, there's nothing out there for men to make them feel sexy in the way that a woman
That's interesting.
That was his answer. And I was I was like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
We have lacy, crotchless, we have leather, all
push-ups.
We have all kinds of stuff to make us feel confident and sexy and desirable, but yet men A bow tie?
Yeah. I think it's that kind of persona changing. I think we have our identities, are you a mom? Are you a dad? Are you an accountant? Are you the president of the, local Rotary? We have those identities, but those identities tend to not be as relevant or as applicable in the bedroom. And I think that you bring up a good point. Women have the ability through lingerie, through all kinds of other accessories and external things to augment those personas. And you're right, men don't have as many available to them. And that could be why at least your friend found that as his outlet. And that is, we would call that a fetish, something that can enhance the sexual experience.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, and this is the case of my friend, and it's very unique to him. And it doesn't mean that the next person who enjoys wearing women's lingerie, that's his reasoning.
Right.
And so, again, as a recipient of this information, I do invite you to be open to it and really be, genuinely curious. And it's okay to ask the questions in an inviting, welcoming space. And that would really also leads to a great connection, I think. But going back to you as far as KINK 101, is this kind of the stuff that you talk about?
Yeah, the KINK 101 workshop that's this weekend on Sunday from 1 to 4 starts out with a values clarification activity because, again, starting with self and understanding self and how you feel and why you feel that way is an integral part of this process. Then we go through a terminology game where we learn about different terms, and so far I've managed to stump people, which makes me happy, but not make people feel dumb, which is what I don't want to do. And then we go through some communication activities where you can learn how to say yes and no with respect and dignity, but also honoring your intentions and your truth. And we go through all kinds of accessories and props and toys and fun things, as well as resources such as books and websites. We have a yes, no, maybe list, and there's one that's more kinky and BDSM oriented, and one that's just regular or other kinds of vanilla sex behaviors. So it's an activity that you can do independently by yourself, and then get together with your partner and review the list and see, I might be willing to do that, and I really want to do that. I will never do that. Right. So it's great to sort of things that you've never thought of before that could sound appealing and fun. It gives you the opportunity to broach the subject in a safe space and in a structured way with a partner.
And I think that's great too, because something else that happens is that it creates that conversation among partners, and you can really discover something about yourself as an individual and as partners, right. and in that relationship, and it could actually enhance your connection in that relationship. So time's about to run out. One more time, if you could tell us, when is this workshop?
Certainly. The workshop is this Sunday from 1 to 4 at the Luminosity Wellness Center. It's on 2400 North Tenaya. And I'm sure my info will be tagged on this, that we can direct you to it. And it's open to everybody. It's $40 a person or $100 for 3 people.
Well, it sounds like a good fun time.
It's a good fun time. And snacks.
Ooh, snacks. See, now I'm in.
Yeah.
No. But the other thing is, so yes, there will be some information attached to this segment, but where else can we find you? Well, for the information on your...
There's a phone number, so if somebody wants to call me, that'll be attached to this broadcast, and they can directly contact me, and we can do it that way.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And hopefully you can come back soon.
Great.
Well, that's about it. Our time has run out, and see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.